Hi, I'm Tina Litster at Circe Creek Boutique. Our mission is to empower you to courageously create. We created these kits for you to eliminate the guesswork and to give you the tools, the knowledge, and the courage to create your own work of art. Welcome! We are going to make a spring wreath to welcome in spring. We've had a long winter and I don't know about you, but I am ready for good weather. This wreath, it has a sweet little bunny. We have 3 different kinds of bunnies. This one is crouching. It's my favorite. You may like the standing or the sitting one. It has ficus leaves, some dark ones and some light ones. These plastic fern leaves. It has 6 green hydrangeas. Aren't these amazing? Some white bud picks, and these gypsophilia or baby's breath. Let's get started. The first thing that we need to do is look at your wreath. This is made on an oval or an egg-shaped wreath, and a lot of both sides shows. Mostly on the right. The right shows from about 2 or 3 o'clock until about 5 o'clock. So you really want this to be pretty on the sides. The bottom and the top are covered, but pretty on the sides. And my wreaths, I don't know about yours, but mine often come with a whole bunch of leaves, dried leaves in them. Normally I don't worry about those, but in this wreath, I want to pick some of those out. I want it to be a very clean look. And so I pick out some of the garbagey stuff that can knock it against the table, whatever you need to do. Look, I turned it over and it's not as bad on this side, although I like this side better. I like the twists of the vines here better, so I'm just going to take the trouble in cleaning it up a bit. So pick some of those out if you'd like to. You may not care. Pick some out just to clean it up. Okay, the very first thing we do is we think about the focal point. Oh, we also have this mesh ribbon. The focal point on this wreath, our eye actually starts at the top with the hydrangeas and the bow, and then the bow takes our eye down, and our eyes rest on the little bunny that is nestling in the hydrangeas and the leaves. So we actually have a transitional focal point here, one here and one down here, and the bow ties them, or the tails of the bow tie them together. Normally you only have one focal point on a wreath, but this one is tied together with the bow. So we're going to actually start with the ficus leaves, and then we'll do the bow. Place the ficus leaves. They branch out from 11 o'clock here, and they branch out again from about 6 o'clock here. So you poke everything in, starting at 11 o'clock and just branching out. Save your light green leaves to put at the top, because this wreath kind of is the transition between winter and spring, with its bunny and its dark and light leaves. And so you want the light green to be on top. Now you poke one set of leaves straight up from the bottom. You actually have to poke it in sideways and then bend it up. And then you poke one set of leaves straight down from the top. They almost meet in the middle. See, they meet kind of on the side here. Okay, so I have the foundation here, and then I'm going to take these 3 light ones and just make them accent on top of the dark ones. I'm good with that. So the way you glue these in is you retract each stem just a bit, pool a bit of glue around the base of it and then push it back into its spot. Make sure you do this systematically around your wreath so that you don't miss any. If you do, then it can be knocked off as you open and close your door, or in the wind, or just by being vertical. And you don't want that to happen. Okay, pick off any glue strings. There will always be some glue strings, and you'll find them long after you've hung your wreath up too. The sun will shine on them and you'll see some more. But pick them off as much as you can. The next thing we put on is the bow. Now the bow is tied at the top. I didn't tie it at the bottom because some of it will depend upon how long your wreath is. This is an 18-inch wreath, but some wreaths are more oval or more egg-shaped, and so your wreath won't be exactly the same length as mine. But this bow goes right at 11 o'clock at the top. So use the wires, poke one of the wires underneath some of the twigs, pull it back up, and then wind it, wrap it tight with the other wire, securing the bow really well to the twigs of the wreath. And then if you have excess, you can clip it off, or you can just tuck it into the branches, whatever you prefer. Now this bow goes kind of vertically. It doesn't go horizontally like some bows. It goes vertically. And then these two tails, they swirl down to the bottom and they meet right at about 7 o'clock. So see how that's just a natural swirl? One of the great things about this neck bow is that it just naturally does this. You don't have to even really train it like you do some others. And then put the other one on top of it, let it swirl down. You meet the two at the bottom, and then with the piece of wire that I gave you, twist. Can't find my piece of wire. Oh, there it is. Gather it up into a little bunch where it will meet the wreath, right down there, and then put your wire around it, tighten it, and twist. You may want to use some pliers for this. This wire is soft and pliable enough that you don't really have to. And then do the same thing down here. Right about 6:30 or 7 o'clock, tuck one wire underneath some twigs of the wreath, bring it around and tighten and twist the wire together. And then clip it off or tuck it into the branches. Now you'll have longer tails or shorter tails, just depending on how long your wreath was. And I tuck the branches of the ficus above the bow. Now one of the tails of the bow at the bottom are going to go to the right and one to the left. And you'll need to use scissors and cut them off how you like them. You can cut them at an angle, you can cut it straight across. These net bows have a mind of their own, so often you can cut it the way you want it and then it'll look different after it relaxes a bit. The next thing are these fern things. You have 4 ferns. You're actually going to only use one at the bottom, and it's going to tuck right in close to where the bow attaches and just kind of droop down. Then you'll put 2 up at the right side. And 1 on the left at the top. So you use 3 at the top and only 1 at the bottom. Okay, I like the placement of those. Now we retract it and glue the ferns into their place. Make sure to pull the bow back so that you don't get glue all over it when you're doing this. Okay, that looks great. Now, rearrange them a little bit so everything shows to its best advantage. Pull off any glue strings. The next thing we put in are the hydrangeas. Now we put 3 hydrangeas at the top, 2 to the right of the bow, and 1 to the left, and then 3 at the bottom. And the bottom ones actually make the nest for where the bunny sits. So I'll show you how to do those after we put the top ones in. You may have to clip your stems a little bit with your wire cutters. So put 1 hydrangea just to the right of the bow, kind of so that it's showing inside the bow. Put the largest of your hydrangeas right there. And then another one just to the right of it, right there. And then another hydrangea to the left of the bow, like that. So the bow is in between them, but they show right up there. Then at the bottom, your hydrangeas to make the little nest for the bunny. And we're going to glue these leaves in that I'm clipping off, so hold on to those. We'll put 1 on the right side. And it needs to be kind of just at the inside base of the wreath there to make the nest for the bunny right there. And then another one just kind of between the 2 tails of the bow. And then the third one kind of standing up, so they make just this little, it's not even an L shape, it's just a little curve right there, just a little triplet right there, and then the bunny will sit right in here. Okay, I like those where they are, so let's glue them in. Now arrange the bow so that it is between the hydrangeas and then flows down. The next thing we're going to do is put the bunny in her place. The bunny has wires through holes down at her tail and her feet, and this is actually a little cumbersome to do. You'll want to stand your wreath up against something. You can hang it on the wall or just stand it up against something. I have an easel here that I'm going to put mine up against because you want to see how it's going to sit vertically. So stand it up against something. So we have the bow at 11 o'clock and then these 3 down here starting at 6 o'clock and then moving up. Now my bunny is sitting, so I want my bunny to be just nestled in among, the wires are cumbersome, but they're necessary. I want her to be nestled in just like that. So with it standing, I now move behind it and I find a wire and I secure her to the wreath by poking the wire in through some twigs and then twisting it. Twist it just once to make sure that you get the placement right before you twist it in and tighten it. Two may have been enough, but these resin bunnies would totally break if they weren't secured well, and I did not want that to happen to any of you. This is actually the hardest part of the wreath, getting these wires in. Okay, I like how this bunny is placed and nestled in among these, and she's secure. So now that I have her where I want her, I can take her off the easel, turn it upside down, and you see now I can secure the wires permanently just by twisting them, and then you can clip them off, but always tuck them into the wreath, because if this is going to be hanging on a door, it'll scratch your door if you don't twist them right back into the wreath. The wire is nice and soft. You really shouldn't need pliers to do it. Oh, this one is twisted in the front. Right in there. Don't pull too tight. The resin bunny, if you pull too tight, the feet could crack off, the feet and the tail, so don't do that. And you don't need to. The wire is soft and it will secure it really well. So my bunny is in her spot, nestled into those flowers. Now, the first thing we're gonna do is to put these hydrangea leaves where we like them. I had to clip them off, but I want them in there because flowers grow with their leaves. They don't grow without them. So tuck them in around the base of the hydrangeas. Some will have stems, others will just be clipped off. But you want them around the base of the hydrangeas because that's how they grow. Okay, now glue them in. The ones without stems, you'll just put some glue on the end and tuck it into the flowers, and it will all just bond together just fine. Okay. The last two things that we put on, first we put these little bud picks on. I think they're actually supposed to be baby's breath buds, but whatever they are, they look really, really great and give it that brand new spring feel. Now you notice your leaves and buds and stuff at the top, and the ones from the bottom almost meet right here. That's how you continue your focal point from the top set of flowers to the bottom and bring your eye down to the bunny where you want it. I like that. Let's glue them in. If you don't like where yours were, just pull them out and try in a different spot. If you trust your eye. Most people know when something is out of place. So trust your eye. If something looks out of place, it probably is. It gets really hard to find the stems at some point because you have so many things going on there. So lift back the leaves and flowers and find where the stem meets the wreath. The very last thing we do is the baby's breath. You clean off your surface a little bit, because you want it to look nice and clean so that you can really see what your wreath needs. All right, baby's breath. Again, just like the little buds, poke it in where you feel it needs a little bit of bright white to just finish the job. I think that is exactly how I want it. So the very last thing you do is glue in these baby breath stems. Okay, that is absolutely lovely. Now you can just rearrange things as you want to. If you want something to show more, pull it to the front. I want these ferns to show a little bit more, so I'm pulling them toward the front. I like things tucked toward the back too because that gives it depth. Nature doesn't grow just flat layer upon flat layer. You have everything mingled in between each other, and this is beautiful. The very last thing that we do is to put a hanger on the wreath. If you have a door hanger, an over the door hanger hook, you don't need to do this, but many of us don't have one of those, and so we need to put one on there. Grab it at the top, flip it over so that 12 o'clock is right in front of you, right at your stomach. Then get a zip tie. This is a 6-inch zip tie. And then you'll poke the zip tie around some substantial twigs, or if you don't have any substantial ones, around several smaller twigs, right at the 12 o'clock position. About 2/3 of the way down through the wreath, so that it doesn't show when you have it in the door. Now you have to use a fingernail or your pliers or something to get the end of the zip tie. Now for the zip tie, you have one end that's smooth and another end that's got a bump on it. You put the tail of the zip tie through the smooth end and pull it until it starts to zip. You hear that click, click, click. Don't pull it too far because you need room for hanging. Then clip off the end and rotate it around until that end is right inside the twigs of the wreath. And then that will be your hanging tie. It just twists like that and hangs perfectly. Then turn your wreath over and you have this fantastic little bunny wreath. Happy spring. I hope you loved that. I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed making this wreath with me. Remember to like the video and subscribe to my channel below. And for more creative surprises, visit my website and my Etsy shop at the addresses shown. See you next time.